Now, that's a good segue. Let's talk a little bit about your transparency, because I know that one of the hallmarks of when you were on the school board was just how transparent you were. My understanding is not only were you live streaming the meetings, you were the next morning sending out a very detailed notes, if you will, for the public. Because so basically, you're cutting off right away at the pass of don't say you're not aware, you're not informed, right? That will always be the biggest complaint in any organization. We don't know what's going on, and how do we? And everyone always wants to. Well, everyone's always looking for some solution, versus like, what's the real problem here, right? Or maybe it's just you because you don't want to read your email, and then we can't accommodate everybody's style of receiving communication. So it sounds like you know that, right? Lessons learned from the past, and you're just going to lay it out there and be transparent. True?
Oh, absolutely. And when I first interviewed, the first time I interviewed for school board, and I wasn't selected, by the way. So I always tell people that because I want people to.
Yeah, you
try
did it
again.
in kindergarten and reapplied in third grade when your son was in third grade?
I did.
By the way, your son went on to be the salutatorian at Bob Jones. So
he did.
He's a smart fella.
He's a great kid. And but when I first interviewed, the city council had just started streaming their meetings. They weren't archiving, but they were streaming. And they asked me, should the school board, what do you think about streaming school board meetings? And I thought, that would be a great idea. I'd love to be able to catch it when I was working at that time when I first applied. I thought it'd be a great idea. So after I did get on the school board, we did contract with a company to provide streaming services. We did not use YouTube or Facebook Live or anything like that, but we had a company do that for us. And streaming was important in terms of letting people know what's going on. Even you might still be at work at your desk because our meetings were at 5 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people were still at work, and I had a hard time even attending school board meetings because a lot of times I was still at work.
Sure.
And so I thought that was really important. Well, then I get on the city council, and we're streaming. That's great, but we're not archiving the meetings. So if you can't catch it at 6 p.m., you're out of luck because it was only that one time. And I led a study group within the city. Greg Shaw was the president at the time, and he called us the Tiger Team. He's an Auburn guy. And he said, I want a group to really study, should we archive our meetings? And so our city attorney, our city clerk, 2 council members, John Seifert and I, we worked together to start looking at what other cities were doing. And indeed, the Big 10 cities, all of them had some form of archiving. Some of them were using Facebook Live. We decided and recommended that we start archiving our meetings so people could be a history of what happened at our meetings, and they could catch it if they couldn't catch the stream. And we decided to contract with a company to do that.
Cool. And that was just one example, right, of transparency.
Oh, sure. I mean, work sessions were never streamed.
Yeah.
So this is something that actually our IT guy told me this recently. He was wanting to know, Ranae, do you want this work session streamed? We have a big one coming up Monday night where we're going to talk about redistricting maps and some improvements to Toyota Field that Major League Baseball is going to require. And so he always asked me, do you want it streamed? I said, yeah, I want it streamed. And he, now, this isn't how we used to do it, Ranae. We don't always stream. And I went, we do now. we're gonna stream.
This is for this coming Monday?
We're gonna do it 4 o'clock before the city council meeting. We usually do work sessions on Wednesdays, but we couldn't get it scheduled last week, so we're doing it this Monday.
So what have you learned? Let's kind of just start with what have you learned as you've delved into. You didn't really have any past political experience, right?
No.
You had your head down in Arkansas, working, and other places you've worked, and then you come here, your son now you just want to be involved, which is cool, right? I'm trying to do that more now in my life, just trying to be more involved in the community because I have more time to do so just based on my job demands that are very different than when I was in DC. But what have you learned as you've gotten into, your work with the school board and now even with the city council?
One thing that I think is true in any city, any government, is you get the government you deserve. If you don't show up to the polls to vote, If
Yeah.
you don't stay informed, ask good questions, you're going to have a government that doesn't perform as well. And so I've been surprised at how low voter turnout is, particularly in municipal elections. And I talked to a young group of college students in the Leadership Spark program recently, and I asked them, why do you not vote at your age? Because when I sit at polls at elections, whether it was the property tax increase referendum that we had as a school board member or my own election to city council, you see a wide range of ages showing up to vote, but not young people.
Yeah.
And so, and I've told them, most of you probably voted in the gubernatorial election or the presidential election. Do you think you have a real influence on what the governor or the president's doing right now? But if you vote in a local election, you're going to see me at the grocery store. You're going to see me at a football game. You're going to have access to me. And we have a greater impact at the local level on your quality of life, the condition of your roads, your schools, the safety of your community. You need to pay attention to who's running for office. You need to pay attention and vote.
Well, how are they responding when you pose those questions to them?
So a number of them, I think it was true, they said, it's not easy to vote. And I think they're right, because a lot of them are in college. So they're having to vote absentee. The absentee process is not easy.
Oh, because they're not in their home district.
That's right. So they're having to vote absentee, or they're busy. They're in school, and they don't feel like they know enough about what to vote for.
Yeah.
Especially on a local level.
So you'd rather not vote than vote on something and you were just realize you were misinformed.
Yeah. So you're letting 20% of the electorate decide.
Yeah.
Who your leaders are.
I mean, I get into it every now and then with like some family members. And the other day, I was, texting a particular family member, and I was just thinking, like, I just retorted, and I was like, then get involved. Like, you don't just sit here and complain about everything. Make your voice heard. Go to the next council meeting. This isn't in the state or this area.
Yeah.
Stop complaining, and at least, go find out what is being done. Don't make these assumptions that these things aren't happening because of what you think but in reality, you might get a more clear picture of what your local government is trying to do. And maybe they have other priorities or other funds that are going things that you have no idea as to why they're slow to patch your potholes and such. Because, the reality is, and not to get political, but there's been more and more demands on our government probably in a long time, right? As far as, and then, every time there's a disaster or there's a war, right? There's those priorities shift away from, different things that are obviously good, right? That, trying to do the best you can to, and I think that's an important, I've spent plenty of time supporting the federal government, right? And you're trying to do good things. Everybody's trying to support good things, but at some point, certain good things outrank other good things, right? And you can't do it all. What are some of the big projects that you can talk about, or things that are on the horizon for the city that you're excited about?
Well, you mentioned pickleball earlier.
Yay.
And, it's funny, I love pickleball too. And one of my dream camps, I run summer chess camps all the time. And I've been talking to some areas that do paddleball.
Yeah.
To have a chess camp, paddleball camp, and then if we have pickleball, that's even better. But we the city purchased property in the Hexagon campus, and we're going to build 12 pickleball courts. And we're also purchasing a building to help public safety. So our police and fire, we need to have public safety out in the Town Madison area for response times. We've got a lot of tall buildings going up, and we need to be able to respond to public safety needs. And so that's a big project that's going. Of course, the completion of the I-565 interchange.
Yeah.
Getting people into Town Madison. We want to make that easy so that they can
When's that slated to be complete? So basically what you're talking about is if you go into Toyota Field, or into Town Madison now, you can come in from the west, and you can come in you can't come in from the east.
So you have
But
to
you can exit and go to the east, right?
Right. So from the east, you either have to get off early or you have to go further down Madison Boulevard and come back.
Right.
And so we're trying to make it easier for people from Huntsville, from the east, to land in Town Madison. And after we announced that project, there have been so many other announcements that Town Madison has been able to announce that are going up. And so we think it's vital. Not only for the trash pandas, but for everything and everyone. People want to live here, but they might work in Huntsville. We want them to be able to get back easily.
Yeah. Oh, I love going to Pandas games. And for us, we live off County Line Road, right down to 565, and you got this beautiful off-ramp, right, that goes up, and boom, you're right there. I love it.
Right. Or the Christmas light show.
Yeah. All that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I shouldn't say just the Pandas, but like entering Town Madison, it's so easy.
It is.
And obviously they're working away on those other ramps, which are going to be so cool when that's done.
Right. And then, of course, in partnership with our school system, we're working to build infrastructure to help them because they need to build a new elementary school.
Yeah.
Population is growing.
Sure.
And so that's the next school that's slated to open.
This might be a good time. I told you before we hit record that there was something that I was unaware of, that I was surprised that I was unaware of based on the guests that I've had. And let me set it up by saying this. At some point in, around episode, I'm going to go back in time. I might edit this out, but this is mostly more to set up what I want to talk about. I think it was episode like 23 when I interviewed John Kavach singing River Trail. Mm-hmm. And in that research, I learned about this thing called Launch 2035. And then Sarah James from the TARCOG was on. Then I had Ethan Woodruff for NALS, the North Alabama Zoologic, trying to bring a zoo here, which was somewhat born out of Launch 2035. Then at some point, I had John Allen on, Committee of 100, which I guess is they were responsible for creating the Launch 2035. And I had Robin Hamilton on, who's now the chair of Launch 2035.
Right.
So there's all these things related to Launch 2035 and regionalism. And then I've interviewed Joey from Breland, Joey Cece, who works with Lewis and is responsible, I guess, from the development of Town Madison. And now here you are, and I do some research, and I stumble upon the Madison On Track 2045. That's us, right?
That's right.
Okay. Sometimes I've made a mistake in the past, and it's like, that's Madison, Wisconsin. Like, oh, sorry, let's just edit this out.
Right.
But I had never heard of this.
Oh.
And my fault, I guess, somehow. But I'm actually a board member on the Madison Visionary Partners now, which is cool. So Mecca from 256 Today and Melanie and everybody. So I'm going to be learning more, of course, about the different initiatives and trying to help raise money for projects. Can you talk about this Madison On Track 2045?
Sure. I wish it was going a little faster. I will tell you that as a brand new city council member, and so now I'm in my third year on the council, a number of us on the council wanted to have a strategic plan to move forward. We didn't want to make ad hoc, hodgepodge decisions, putting out fires, but really have a vision for how Madison would move forward. And so to approve budgets, to approve plans, we wanted to have a more thoughtful process and to do this strategic plan. And we knew that Madison was going to continue to grow. Mm-hmm. We had sort of outgrown the previous West Side Master Plan. We needed to combine and have a city vision. So that process started because a number of council members wanted to get moving. Now, it's a process, and part of the process is that it was occurring during COVID. I was first elected in the midst of that. So it was difficult to have meetings, or you would have to wear masks at meetings for a while. But you were trying to bring together different groups of people to provide input. So all of the input has been put in. The consultants have it. And we understand that this fall we're going to see what that plan looks like.
Okay.
And I've been told that in the past when there have been these 10-year strategic plans to move forward, oftentimes what's in the plan may not be immediately affordable. Like you mentioned earlier, you have to make priorities and see what the needs are. But public input was able to be had online, so people filled out surveys and sent, and some people came to the sessions that we held at City Hall. We had one at Toyota Field, and so people got to come and sort of do their own planning session. We had this like monopoly houses and apartments and parks and different things to map out in the city of Madison. Where would you add enough housing for the people that we anticipate coming? Where do you think we need a park? Or do we need a swimming pool? Do we need a new pool? What are your priorities? And so we were listening to the citizens of Madison, and hopefully this fall we're going to see the plan.
Okay, so February 2020 is when you came in, right?
November 2020.
Oh, it was November 2020. Oh, okay. I read something, I thought somewhere it was February 2020, and I just thought in my mind, oh my goodness, 3 weeks later, the world shuts down, and, what a way to start.
Yeah, the campaign was in the summer. The election was in August, and we're sworn in November.
Okay. So this 2045, which essentially back then it's kind of a 25-year outlook, was this your baby type thing, or had it started, the seeds of that started before you were elected and you kind of took it over?
I think it's not my baby. There were a number of newly elected council members who wanted to see a plan. There were a number of current members who wanted a plan, but it took all of us saying, we want this plan for it to get going. But the planning department and Mary Beth Broran are the ones who are really leading the effort.
Cool. Well, I would hope that my value add, hopefully on this podcast, is I'll interview more people related to this, right? As we've given a lot of attention to Launch 2035. In fact, I was at a committee. I'm a member of the Committee of 100 now.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I work for Mantech, and I had my first meeting the other day, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, I've interviewed them, I've interviewed that person, I've interviewed that person, and it was great, and so somebody was like, hey, it's your first meeting, you know anybody? I'm like, I kind of do. I've kind of spent a few hours with about 8 of them, John Joseph being one, because he's a chair, and Tony Eberhardt's another one, who are chairs of certain committees. And then I of course, Joe Donato. Do you know Joe Donato?
No, he didn't come to our last meeting.
But you know him, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he gave me. I credit him to really helping me with early on, just setting up all those guests, because he sent me an email of like, you need to interview these 30 people, and that was a great starting point. And of course, strategically, they all kind of worked, into it was kind of thematic, that way. So, and that's just Joey and I I've talked about this with a lot of guests, where how welcoming Huntsville is. And when I say Huntsville, the greater Huntsville area, right? Including Madison City, Huntsville City, Madison County, Limestone County, and Joey said, Tommy Battle's from Birmingham, I think, right? I think he's from Birmingham. He goes, Paul Finley's from Kentucky. There's places in Alabama where if you're not from there, you're not running for mayor. Forget about it. He goes, if you're like in Mobile, if your grandfather wasn't on the Mardi Gras committee, you're not running for city council. But Huntsville's different. Huntsville is more like, hey, if you want to get involved, and I think you're case in point, right? You're from Arkansas. I don't say you're from Arkansas, but you spent a considerable amount of your time there. You come here, you want to get involved, you get involved, and look at you. You're the chair of the city council now. Apparently, according to Joey, that doesn't happen in every community in Alabama. So hats off to you for just being involved, right? And filling those needs. But hats off to this community for allowing outsiders, right, to come in and just say, hey, this is our new town too.
Absolutely.
You can be anti-growth all you want, or and I've lived in areas of Virginia where it was like, we don't want you here. You know, and we'll raise your taxes, and we're going to just make our town really small, and we're going to tax you guys because we don't want, you know, like, well, where else are we supposed to live? I can't afford $1 million home 30 miles in, you know. Mm-hmm. So I felt that. Any gripes that you want to share?
Gripes?
Other than, well, I think that's a fair gripe. But hey, elect, go vote.
Yeah, definitely engage.
Is there anything you want to impart that's to the public in a way, and that's very good constructive feedback or criticism? You know, I don't know what I'm looking for. I don't want to get you in trouble, but
Well, I don't want to get in trouble either. I will say that, you know, there's something for everyone. You can find that thing that you're passionate about. I mean, I didn't come here thinking I was going to build a
sure
organization where kids are playing chess all over the place and going to nationals and winning championships. I mean, that was not in the plan. But you see a need and you want to make it better.
Yeah.
And then you just never know what that's going to become. But in terms of public service, I never had a desire to run for elected office. This was not something I wanted to do, but I saw a need. You know, we were growing. I wanted to help grow in a smart way. I wanted to grow in a way that we could afford the infrastructure and the things that we needed. We needed more commercial development. We needed to focus on how to get that done. So I thought, you know, I'm not afraid to lose an election. I'm more afraid not to try.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know who I was going to be running against, but I wanted to throw my hat in.
Who's your biggest cheerleader?
Oh, boy. You know, it's a close contest between my husband and my son.
Okay.
You can't be successful without having a support network. And so my family is wonderful. And then, you know, I've got some really good girlfriends who reach out to me, send me supportive texts. You know who you are, because we're doing it for each other and helping lift each other up, because things can get hard.
And you're supposed to go on a big trip with these ladies, aren't you?
Oh, my goodness. Did you hear about that? How did you hear about that?
You typed it to me.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you asked me that question, didn't you? Yeah. So
Portugal?
Portugal and Spain. I love it's fun to get to do a girl trip. And my husband has been very supportive of go do this, because he's a lot taller than I am and he's not as comfortable on international flights.
Oh, yeah.
So he's probably worried that I would be dragging him there if I didn't go with my girlfriend. So he's all about it. And it's just so nice to unwind.
When are you going?
Late September.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
You ever been there, like that part of the world?
I've been to Switzerland, but I've not been to Spain and Portugal.
Do you speak some Spanish or some Portuguese?
No. My son does, though. He would be very helpful.
Yeah, and they speak that Castellano in Spain. So whatever Spanish you learned here, it's going to sound very different there.
Oh.
I've never been to Spain, but I do know the Castellano, and, you know, they do the je a lot.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if it was calle is like street, they say calle. It's just that type of thing. So it's going to sound different. But they all probably speak English, so you'll be fine.
Yeah, I've heard that it will be okay without speaking Spanish, and I'm looking forward to the food.
Oh, yeah.
So,
How long are you going to be gone?
about 10 days.
Maybe longer?
Yeah, I don't know.
All
We'll
right.
see.
One-way ticket?
No, I have work to do. I have a city council meeting to get back to.
I used to do some work in London at this job I had, and there was one time, it was around Christmas, and we had this major network issue. And I had convinced the government, and I said, listen, you just got to send us over there, because these people, you know, they're 5 hours ahead of us, these people in the British government. And we were kind of like a consultant, or we fixed things for them. And I was like, it's not working. We're trying to do VTCs. We're trying to do email. It's not working. You just need to send us over there, and I'm going to take a network engineer with me. And we're not going to come back till it's fixed. And they're like, I was like, it's Christmas. I was kind of kidding, but I wasn't kidding in the sense of like, if you just send us over there, we'll get it fixed. But I can't tell you how long it's going to take. So we get on the airplane, me and this guy, and we fly business class. We love traveling. It was awesome. And it was we would take the red eye from Dulles Airport in Virginia, and it left at 10 p.m. and you'd get to London at 6 a.m. It was great. and then you stay up kind of all day so that you're really, really tired, then go to bed. And then so hopefully by the Monday, you're ready to go for work, right, for the work week. But anyway, we get on the plane and he goes, hey, how long do you think this is going to be? I'm like, well, you're the network engineer. I kind of need you to fix it. He's like, well, I'm supposed to get married in 6 days. And I'm like, you could have said something. Like, you know, we're kind of like on a really high stakes, you know, operation here. You have to. I was like, well, if you want to get married in 6 days, you better fix this like in 2 days so we can get back. But I have told the government we're not coming back until we fix it. So it's on you, brother. And sure enough, we got there on a Monday and we had it fixed on Wednesday and we were back Thursday and got married Saturday. So it, you know, it all worked out. But I was like, you know, these are details when you talk to your manager, your teammates, right? You kind of need information. That would have been a great thing for you to tell me so that we could have planned differently, perhaps. Found someone else to go. We're literally on the airplane. Like, how long is this going to take?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man. So I was just thinking about the pickleball courts, too, because I think Sandra Moon has 12 courts. Mm-hmm. And they're painted very well. Dublin, I love going to Dublin. It's close by, but you know, the cool thing about Sandra Moon's courts is like for pickleball, the kitchen area and the square, everything is painted accordingly. Where just visually, you see the, you know,
Yes.
you see the court better.
Oh, yes.
I'm assuming our courts here near Hexagon will be great.
Oh, they will be. They've gotten a consultant in to help them do it right, and it's just for pickleball. It's not a retrofitted tennis court or
Oh, good.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, you get into anything. I'm sure even in chess, right? At some point, these kids aren't going to want to play on these types of boards. They're going to want really fancy equipment, right?
Oh, yeah. Like the donated chess sets that we got, you know, originally the little red and black cardboard sets. Yeah, they weren't labeled with the rows and the numbers and the letters. And so we had to pretty quickly get some regulation chess sets to get going.
Yeah, but I imagine that the more that they appreciate the game and the more they get into it, or they've experienced some other boards, right? They're like, oh, man, we got to step up our game, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they do like when they get new equipment. Like Journey Middle School just opened. And every time a school opens, my nonprofit organization provides them with brand new chess sets.
Okay.
And with Journey, their colors are purple.
Okay.
So I got them purple and white chessboards.
Nice.
And then the black and white pieces. And so brand new, you know, starting off. And we've done that for every school in Madison.
What are they? Are they wood? What are the
No,
boards?
they're plastic.
Just plastic, okay.
It's vinyl boards with plastic chess sets.
Okay. So then that way you can roll them up.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Fold them, roll them.
Yeah, that's great. So you guys, you'll do well at these tournaments? You'll.
I think so. Now, I guess we didn't get to talk about this, but, you know, when COVID hit, our nonprofit had won a big grant from the U.S. Chess Federation and the Women's Committee, and we won one of their largest grants. They gave us $7,500, and we, in our grant application, wanted to take our girls to our very first all-girls nationals. We had never been. It's always in Chicago, and I had such a strong group of girls, and I wanted to take them. And then COVID hit in 2020, so we were going to spend that money to make that trip and help these girls travel to Chicago. And so when COVID hit, I had to find a different way to use the grant money so we didn't have to give it back. And I contacted a women's grandmaster to coach online different groups of girls at different levels to help them prepare. So for the 2 years that they canceled nationals, we were just preparing online here, playing as many local tournaments as we could when it was safe to do so. And so for the first time in 2022, we took our girls to all-girls nationals, and we won first place in the under-16 section, a team from Discovery Middle School. All the other teams that won were from New York. We were the only team that wasn't from New York that won a national championship.
Really?
So the girls, they were really heralded and recognized because it was our first national championship, our first time there at the tournament. They got to throw out the first pitch at Trash Panda's game.
Oh, cool.
Well, I brought them to a city council meeting, and we recognized them, gave them city coins. I mean, it was awesome.
That is awesome. And how long ago was that?
So that was 22.
Okay, so they're okay, just a year ago.
Yeah, so some of those girls in middle school are now in high school. They're still playing chess. Their coach who went with us, she was our chess coach of the year this year that we recognized at our 10th anniversary dinner.
And is she like an intense coach, or is her strategy
Oh, no.
like she just getting the most out of these girls?
No, she's not intense, but what she is she's relatable because she played in the all-girls nationals like 10 years ago.
Okay.
So she had been there, and that just gives you so much credibility when you've been there and you know what they're going through, and then you're working with them in between each round. We're going over those games and learning from those games, and they were out overperforming. They were beating kids who were rated a lot higher.
Wow.
And so they were just very focused.
I call this the picture pack. So again, I pulled some stuff from your Facebook, and it's more just to kind of get commentary on. I've on purpose pulled a few things, so you can look at that. Whatever screen is easiest for you to see. So here is a older group, K through 8 championship. Where was this held?
It looks like it's a gym at is that Blossomwood?
Let's see if I can zoom in. I can't zoom in much. Oh yeah, I can. Panthers. It's some school where the Panthers were the mascot.
I'm trying to think because we do a lot of our tournaments.
You might be able to see
gyms.
better there.
Okay.
The top one.
Oh, okay. Let's see, everyone.
So I don't know. I guess you weren't a tournament director as one of your teams here.
Oh yeah. These are a bunch of our kids.
Okay.
Yeah, I can recognize who the kids are.
I guess it must have been okay.
Yeah, I think it looks like Blossomwood.
I like that. The recording.
Rookie rally, maybe in January.
Here, let's see here. All right, so here, I love this shot.
Oh.
I love this like it's all set up. Who knows what time of day this was taken. I love this shot.
Yeah, so that was setting up Hudson Alpha and the championship section, the K-12 section, and the girl who won that section got to represent Alabama at a national tournament of champions. And so Hudson Alpha's library, not everybody gets to go in there. And so that was really special and a treat for the girls.
That's cool. And there's John Kim and you, right?
Oh, yeah.
Geeks and Nerds.
That's right. We were at the...
that Space and Rocket?
Yeah, Space and Rocket Center, and it was their Mad Scientist Bash. And he was one of the sponsors. I got to hear him speak before, and that was a lot of fun.
I reached out to him. It's been a while, and admittedly, right, there's going to be people if they've never heard of the podcast, like, well, it might look like, oh, you don't have a lot of viewers, and why, it's going to be a waste of my time. I need to reach out to him again.
Oh yeah,
I'd love to have him on, but I think at the time it was like, whatever, dude. I'm not saying he was being dismissive, but your time is precious, and I think they were at the time also expanding. This was like early. I think this was spring. Like it was like one of my first episodes. I was just trying to cold call because they had just announced that they were going to build some new facility. And I thought, oh, what a great time to have John on.
Yeah, John is a real thought leader.
I'd love to have him on. I just love the whole concept. I love the bow tie. And he looks like a mad scientist.
Yeah. He'd be a lot of fun.
Now, there's you and your husband, right?
That's right, at the Mad Scientist Bash. And my husband, you got to understand this, he hates formal affairs.
Really?
And he doesn't go to very many at all. And that event was so much fun. He bought one of those Mad Scientist lab coats. He's ready to go next year. It's his favorite thing he's ever had to go with.
What does he do for a living?
So he's an attorney also. We met in law school.
Okay.
And he was general counsel for Hexagon, the international branch. And then he's retired.
Okay. Good for him. How tall is he?
6 feet.
Okay. Now you're there. I think this is a leadership Huntsville event,
Yes.
or a sojourn, if you will, field trip, and you went out to St. Louis.
Yes.
And this is the World Chess Hall of Fame.
Oh, my goodness. So this was our closing retreat. I'm on the steering committee for Leadership Huntsville, and we picked St. Louis as the closing retreat for L36, last year's class. And everyone wanted to take me over there to the World Chess Hall of Fame so that we could take a picture together. And our hotel was there in the West End, so it was really nice.
Is St. Louis somewhat known for chess?
It is the chess capital of the United States.
Is it really?
It is, and it hosts U.S. championships for adults, for juniors, seniors. They have, of course, the World Chess Hall of Fame. They have a St. Louis Scholastic Chess Center that helps teach kids how to play chess in all the public schools in St. Louis. They're doing a lot of research about the academic benefits of chess.
Yeah.
And they're going to be featured in an upcoming webinar in September. I think it's September 24th. We're going to focus on the work that they're doing in St. Louis to teach chess to students. I'm a co-chair of the Chess and Education Committee for the U.S. Chess.
Really? Mm-hmm. Well, I know NGA, they're expanding their headquarters out there. So they certainly have, just kind of like this town, right? You've got a lot of people supporting the government and such. And of course, there's NGA is a big, agency. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that about St. Louis as a leader. I just thought they were being pretty presumptuous, like, or the World Chess Hall of Fame, But that's cool to know.
Yeah, so that's the tallest chess piece in the world. And then someone else built one that was taller. So what they did was they put the base in beneath it, so then it could rise up again. And
really?
Now again, it is the tallest chess piece in the world.
I was just in St. Louis, and they drive fast. Like, if you ever have someone pass you at like 100 miles an hour on 565, but that happens like a lot. They drive like really fast there.
In the city?
Oh, no, on the interstate there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, on the interstate. But I'm like, it's one thing, like every now and then someone will pass me like at 100 miles an hour. And let's just hope that they're, someone's having a baby and it's an emergency. But it'll happen like 4 times in 10 minutes that you're on the interstate. Like, what is going on? These people, it's like the Autobahn. That's the way they treat it. But just be careful if you go back there.
I just used
What else do we got here? So here's the flyer for the event at Toyota Field that's coming up. The Madison City Chess League hosting the state representative David Cole and state representative Philip Rigsby for the Alabama State Chess Championship.
Yeah, we're so appreciative of them continuing. Our state reps have been great. Like the girls' state tournament I told you about, Arthur Orr has sponsored that, State Senator Arthur Orr.
Mm-hmm.
And before Representatives Cole and Rigsby, Mac McCutcheon and Mike Ball were always supporting our chess program and helping sponsor. And so these two were really stepping up to help us host a state tournament.
And it's a Swiss, what do you call that again? The Swiss draw?
Yeah, it's a Swiss pairing system.
Pairings, okay. Mm-hmm. And there you see the 1 round on Friday, 3 on Saturday, and then 2 on Sunday.
Yeah, so you see G120, that's the game 120, 2 hours, 5-second delay, 6 rounds over 3 days.
Got it. And let's see, this is 9 years ago. Apparently, this is but this is awesome where there's a bunch of youngsters and there you are teaching chess.
Yeah.
Do you remember this day?
Oh, yeah, that's 4-year-olds. That's a pre-K class. And I have a giant chess set that I would carry into class so they could see the board, see over it, help learn how the pieces move. And it's so much fun.
I can just imagine, there's the kid, my grandpa likes to play chess. And then someone's like, when it's time for lunch?
They're so good. They know all the chess pieces. They're ready for chess camp.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then, I had to throw this in. I've not yet been here yet. This is the milkshake bar?
The Yard.
The Yard.
Oh, my goodness.
And you ate that?
Oh, yeah. No problem. Strawberry chocolate. There was I think it was their May seasonal special or something. And I thought, I've got to try that.
So what else did they just put like donuts and stuff on? Like they'll just kind of, it seems like you have the base of ice cream. There you have some chocolate chips on top of it. And then from there, it just gets...
It's a brownie and a chocolate-covered strawberry.
Right.
And whipped cream. And
on top of the milkshake.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of work your way down.
Yeah. Yeah, it is awesome.
I haven't been there yet.
Worth the trip.
Oh, yeah. And then, is this Millie?
Oh, my gosh, yes. Millie. Oh, my sweetheart. So I'm a foster failure.
Yeah,
And
we know what those are.
Yeah. So Friends of Rescue contacted me because they had this Shorkie who had been given up by their owner. And I guess she was just 3 years old at the time. And it was 4th of July weekend. So I think I got her on July 2nd. And they didn't want her to be in a cage, over 4th of July weekend with the fireworks and everything. They didn't know.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about fostering, but I hadn't even gotten to fill out the application yet. And a friend of mine knew that I was wanting to foster. I'd had another rescue dog who had died a few years ago. And so they contacted me and said, can you take this dog? And I was not ready. I didn't have, anything. And Friends of Rescue bring you everything. They bring you food. They bring you the heartworm pills. They give you,
Everything.
the bed. They gave me a bed. So you can do this. Just fill out this application. And I thought, okay. So we do this. We bring this dog in, Millie. And one of the first things that struck us about this dog is that she didn't bark when the doorbell rang.
Oh, really?
I've never had a dog that didn't bark when the doorbell rang. So I thought, Todd, we might need to keep her. And he knew he was in trouble. He knew when I first said yes but yeah, I ended up adopting her, foster failure.
Did you try it all to get Millie adopted?
Well, no, because part of the deal was in fostering her, she had never been spayed. And so we had to nurse her through that process. We agreed to do that, and then she wasn't ready for adoption.
I see.
And then by that time,
Yeah, you were attached.
game over.
My wife fosters cats.
Oh,
And just yesterday, so she had surgery, and so yesterday was her birthday. And we were supposed to, the plan was we were all going to go over to the cat rescue at Low Mill, Catty Shack. She actually works there on Fridays.
oh,
I had Tina on from Catty Shack, like episode 12. And she brought cats, no, episode 21, sorry, in reverse of that. And we had the cats, running around, and it was a fun episode. Tina, what's her last name? Clark? But we were supposed to go as a family and play with all these cats, which is a lot of fun, and that's a good way for them to raise money. You pay $10 for an hour to play with the cats that they have.
oh,
And then most of the cats will go to fosters when they're closed, which is like Monday through Wednesday. And then they open back up on Thursdays. Or maybe they're only open Thursday through Saturday. That's what it is. And then they bring the cats back. The fosters are supposed to bring them back so the general public can, figure out if they want to adopt a cat. So we went and played with the cats for an hour. And we actually have 2 right now from there that we're helping as they always have, because you look at these animals and they're so cute. Like, oh, how could you turn down Millie? You know, and all these cats, some of them, and there's fun. Like, I didn't really have pets growing up. My mom just had no patience for them, but then you start to have, and I get attached. I don't want to adopt them all. So I'm like, I never want to be a part when it's time to say goodbye and they do get adopted. I don't even want to be there. Because I want to be like, don't take it.
oh yeah.
And then, but some of them are so sweet. Some of them are skittish, and it's kind of fun to help them be social. Mm-hmm. And if you can be that one that's really helped that cat. There was this cat yesterday. I just was petting it, and they were like, oh, nobody gets to pet that cat. I'm like, oh, well,
wow.
For some reason it likes me. All right, what else do I got? Here's your Leadership Huntsville class.
Oh yeah.
Or this was a seminar.
We were doing volunteer training.
Okay.
Getting ready for our new year that started with an opening retreat in August. And so this L37 class is ready to go.
So what's your role with Leadership Huntsville?
I'm one of 3 people on a steering committee.
Okay.
And you serve for 3 years. So last year was my first year. This is my second year. And my steering committee members are Mark Brannon and Jason Parks, who are in that picture. And we're just doing some training and getting our volunteers ready for the new year.
And where is that building, the location that you're sitting there with the...
That's in the Bryant Bank building in Huntsville.
Okay.
Off of Lowry.
Got it. And let's see. Oh, I got a couple more chess pictures here. Tell me about this shot.
Okay, open house.
And you're wearing the shirt you're wearing right now.
I am. It's our 10th anniversary shirt. July 22nd was our actual 10th anniversary. That was the day that we had our first meeting. at the Rainbow Landing Clubhouse across from Rainbow Elementary. And so this is open house. And elementary schools, I have some high school kids here and our coach for Madison Elementary. And so at open house, we have a lot of volunteers who spread out. Last year I was at Midtown. That was the new program I was helping. And so this year I went to Madison Elementary. And they're an existing program, but they're in a building year, and Coach Joel is our new coach. So
got it. So you got T-shirts to give away. People are coming up, and these young men are, I guess, giving some quick demos.
Yeah, they're taking on all challengers. And
oh,
then
cool.
We had some parents who were like wanting to play and didn't want to leave, and they were ringing the bell when it was over, and they were engrossed in their game. And I went, "Really? Y'all got to go. They've got to go to school." You know.
And here's I guess these are now another side of that shot where they've come up to play.
Yes, and so the little girl, I don't think she was as interested, but mom and dad both play, so they were taking on our high school students.
Yeah, the guy looks pretty intense.
Oh yeah, he was.
That's funny. And that's it.
Yeah, so I'm hoping I'll see them tomorrow at summer nights. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
And then you said your club meets once a week in the library?
So we have free chess from 6 to 7:30 at Madison Library. And we have a coach there and a staff member there who help pair up the kids and repair them.
That's
and
awesome.
Just get to play chess.
That's cool. And then, like you said, you're looking for ways, too, to do social things with them, right? Do some fun things.
Oh, absolutely, because that's half of it. Just letting them hang out with each other and have fun.
Yeah. Well, it's. Do you have any final thoughts or anything that we haven't covered you want to cover?
One thing I would share with you that's unique about Madison and chess, we're the only city in the state of Alabama that hosts a grade level city chess championship. We've done it since 2016. And what that means is kindergartners just play kindergartners. That's their only competitors. First graders play first graders. It's a grade level championship. Most people never get to play like that except at national grade level championships in Florida in December. So grade nationals happens. That's the first time I ever saw grade nationals where people only play kids on their grade level. And that's a fun way of playing. And so sometimes most of our tournaments, you combine grade levels. It's a K3 or K5. It might be middle school or high school, but not just your grade level. And that's because we have so many kids playing at every grade level. And that tournament was sponsored by SPS. They've done it every year, even during COVID. During COVID, we had to host a city chess championship that was a blitz tournament online.
Really?
So they were playing 5-minute games. It's crazy. I mean, you got kindergartners playing 5-minute games, but we had a city chess championship, and they still continued to sponsor us even through COVID. So that's a fun thing we do every March. James Clemens High School.
That's awesome. Very good. You're doing great things.
Thanks.
Any other shout-outs?
So I really want to thank all of our volunteers. You know, in any school, in any program, you cannot do it all with paid staff. You've got to have parents that care, grandparents that care, and we have the best community that really steps up and helps us do things like a 200-person tournament.
Why not?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that parents get excited, right, when it's something new and different, and they want the best, just like you wanted the best for your son, right, in kindergarten.
Yeah.
And you wanted to get involved.
Yeah, and we'll train you. We'll train you how to be a TD.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Every time I go to a Pandas game, sometimes you don't appreciate enough just the umpires.
Yeah.
Or you go to a soccer game, right? I mean, most of these referees don't want to do kids soccer because they don't want they don't want to have to deal with the parents yelling at them all the time, right? Like,
yeah.
It's like a thankless job. But anybody who's into being a rules official or a referee, my hat's off. Like, and I was mentioning, I'm sure chess. I want to come. Now I was supposed to go to Atlanta to see my mom Labor Day weekend, but now it's going to be later in September. So now I definitely should be able to come and check it out.
Oh yeah,
I can't wait.
Absolutely.
But like I've been to plenty of wrestling matches and different things where you realize just getting the schools there and all that, but what about the refs? Mm-hmm. And they have to rotate through, and they're there for 2 days, and yeah, they're getting paid, but still, it's a commitment, and it takes a it takes an army to pull these things off.
Yeah,
So,
and our high schoolers volunteer as well.
Do
So
they?
you will see some high school chess team members. If you ever come to one of our chess tournaments, they're volunteering and they're getting service hours. So
That's
they'll
cool.
either coach kids in elementary school, or they'll be out there with their clipboard, acting as a TD, learning. We train them, so they receive training and they work side by side with a certified tournament director, so they can learn, get certified themselves, and then they have a marketable skill. When they go off to college, they can TD in tournaments.
I've been meaning to ask you this earlier when you were mentioning how these kids don't have poker faces. Have you had an occurrence? Let's say it's like a first grader, and you can see the look on their face. Do they blurt out like, "Miss Ranae, I'm going to checkmate him on my next move"? Like, do they call their shot?
They don't yell out because they are trained
Okay.
and taught, and the tournament director tells them.
But they want to.
They can't yell out. Yeah, they'll do that, or something. Yeah.
I got him. I was like,
I'm like this, I'm going, don't do that. Don't send me signals. I'm a TD right now.
it's like a kid, like a hand of cards, and all of a sudden, like the eyes just, I guess you got some aces, or something in there.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Ranae, it's been fantastic having you. We barely scratched the surface, I feel like. So it'll be interesting to have you back on once these tournaments are over and give us a report.
Hey, I'd love to come back. Thank you for highlighting this program. So many people tell me they had no idea this was right here.
Well, now they get to listen to almost 2 hours of talking about it.
Okay.
And then some. And thank you for your service to the city, to the school board, and the other things you've done. I hope that people will watch this and look at the example and say, hey, you know what? I can get involved.
They sure can.
Right? I may not play chess because I'm still scared, but I want to get involved, and I am involved.
Great.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.